Hello, and welcome to the Dance of the Soul. And you know, it's an amazing thing today is Monday, and I'm Natasha Venter, who is one who loves to help someone work through their life. I am here to help you go through life. So, with that today Regan Forsten is going to be traveling. So I just remembered that as I was getting on here to go live, that I would not have my wonderful partner with me today because we were going to talk about synchronicity. Well, I'm going to bring up some stories that he had about synchronicities and stuff like that. So, with that he is a part of here in spirit, I guess, today. So, going forward in life, we all find these times where synchronicity kind of comes into us. And I know that many of us who are struggling with life and kind of in the dumps, and I know for me lately that I've just kind of had this lack of energy and that kind of thing. But I know the planets are changing a lot right now, and there's solar flares, and there's things that are going on around us right now, and this is happening consecutively along the ride. And so with me, even today, I'm kind of like going, hi, what am I gonna, if people have noticed, I wasn't even posting about the show earlier than just a few minutes ago about going live, even though I did on my post last night. But synchronicity is an amazing thing because of the fact that we never know when we're in sync. And I know that a lot of us can get uh, uh, those moments. And thank you, Veronica, for sharing. Your gift, always being here with me. I appreciate that. And anybody else who's watching, I appreciate you watching because this is going to be on a podcast too later. I've been loading up old shows, and soon I'm going to be loading up my newer, the shows that are now, so that people can listen to them while they're at work. Because I know a lot of people listen to podcasts while they're at work, so you can catch some of the old shows. And even though the old shows that we were on were, that Regan and I were on, or my life clarifications on Wednesdays, some of them, if you listen back, some of those, the inside stories and the inside workings, that many a times they're relevant today, even if it's not a full moon or a new moon, or there's the scenario of an eclipse or that kind of thing. So with that I want people to know that no matter where you're at and where you're going, that it's amazing when we can be in sync with life, isn't it? And I know Regan had this wonderful story that kind of just kept coming around to me. And it was one that, if people can remember back on the show, when he mentioned about his van on a mountain pass breaking down. And he was like, oh, what am I going to do now? Well, the synchronicity is that he ended up having someone pull over for him, right? And then they ended up talking about hypnosis. And then he ended up having them as a client. Well, that's what I wanted to talk about. It's not the synchronicity that we find as we're going through life, and you pull out in one parking lot as somebody's pulling out. That's a synchronicity, right? But I'm talking about the synchronicity that can last forever in our minds and in our knowings. Because the fact that we never know what seed we can plant in somebody's life at a certain time, right? Because of the fact that when we're going through life and managing our life, that we never know what seed we can plant in somebody else's life that is their synchronicity, that we never know. Like I had with this one client, this one person who I was, doing recess duty, and I was having a conversation, and, and all of a sudden I'm standing there and I hear this kid whispering, I'm no good. Well, I'm making bad decisions. I'm no good. And, things like that. And, all of a sudden, I hear him say, I'm no good. And I stop him. I say, no, you are a great kid who's making poor decisions. Because I've seen him making poor decisions, right? But I see this innocent soul inside him. And there's these moments where life is happening, and what it was amazing was is that I had a conversation with him. I said that at this minute in time you're a great kid who's making poor decisions, but remember, every stone you step on, like a path, I mentioned, like a stepping stone path, every decision you make, you can make another decision that changes your world, and then you can be a better decision maker. This conversation lasted maybe 3 or 4 minutes, right? Synchronicity. I was standing at the right place at the right time. This kid came back to me at graduation and said, "Mrs. Venter, you changed my world in that moment because you told me I was not a bad kid. I was making poor decisions. So I separated myself from the decisions I was making to how I felt about myself." Those are almost his words to exactly the same moment, the same words he was thinking. And what was the amazing thing about life is that, you never know what seeds you can plant in somebody's life when they're going forward. And Jason, hi Jason. I'm sorry, I was in that middle of that story. I couldn't go to but you said here, was just thinking about you, and there you are. LOL synchronicity. Yes, and Veronica, I'm always so grateful for you too. So there we go. Oh, hi, friend. Yes, we are deep friends. Actually, I was thinking about you the other day, Jason, and was going to call you too. But, life kind of got going, and I kind of felt like it was an awkward time for you. So I didn't end up calling you. But I've been wanting to have just, I've been thinking about you, sending you love. So with that as we're going forward and managing our life, that we never know what the synchronicities are that can plant seeds for the future, just like going back to Regan, right? Who, was broken down in the past with his van, and then he ended up having these conversations with this couple who was willing to give him a ride into the next town. And when we're going forward, Regan probably doesn't know what that couple is talking about since he's met them, because sometimes we don't know what that ripple effect is, right? So with that, remember that there's many times where I'm walking down the hallway and all of a sudden a kid pops out of a doorway going to the bathroom or something. And I call that synchronicity, because this is my opportunity as me, Mrs. Venter at school, right? To have a conversation with someone who sometimes, they're holding their head and they're not feeling very good about themselves. And what do? I come up and I say, "Hi, how you doing?" I kind of nudge up against them, right? Because of the fact that sometimes when we have energy that is, I want to call it sustainable, that sometimes when we kind of rub up against somebody, we can rub some of our loving energy up with them, and it can shift their day. I had a kid who, in the synchronicity of life, that where I was stationed first thing in the morning, he would run to me and give me a hug because, and then there's some days I said, "Oh, I needed this hug probably just as much as you did." And he said, "Yeah." you know, so with that going forward in life, we never know what we're going to be doing. That's one thing that I always love to do, is find my place in helping others by being their synchronicity. Now, synchronicity doesn't always mean aligning at the exact right time, and that's the magic. Like one day I was going trying to find a parking place. Went around a couple times because this area has a hard time finding a parking. And I noticed a car was pulling out. So I pulled out, or they pulled out, and I pulled in. And I said, "Thank you. Thank you for being my synchronicity." The magic was is that I was walking out of the restaurant and I came in and I started getting my car. Another car was waiting. So I was their synchronicity. And I just prayed at that moment that there could be that domino effect of synchronicities for people, right? Because of the fact that when we're going forward, that many times when we pray, and I mean prayer in a way of saying that, just putting it out there with love, because prayer doesn't necessarily have to be no, it doesn't have to be prayer like that, right? It could be prayer in, hey, thank you, I'm grateful, and let that be the same as for others. Just putting it out there with a message. And when I put it out there like that for that message, I feel like that domino effect can happen, right? So as we're going forward, and I do wish Regan was here because of the fact that he has many stories of where his synchronicity has happened. And, it's funny that life goes forward and we just kind of sometimes we're stumbling along, right? Like for me lately, the energy has just been stagnant and it's just slow motion and it's hard to get motivated and that kind of thing. And, there's a lot of us, I was out, dancing with some girlfriends the other night because we have a friend who's moving out of state and we were all kind of saying that, do we really have to go to work on Monday? Because of the fact that, none of us are like feeling energetic with going forward. But this is the time that if we can, even if we're not motivated to move forward, that even if we can get up and, like for me, I just say, okay, there's the 5 things I got to get done today. And if I can get up and get those things done, then I end up being able to negotiate some of those things. So, with that, know that no matter where you're at and what you're doing, synchronicity, when we're finding, I would love, Jason, I know for you, you're a fellow intuitive, and so you found yourself, and Veronica, who you've chimed in here, have found yourself that you've been in somebody else's synchronicity, right? So going forward and being blessed, and I know that many times that I'm walking by somebody, and all of a sudden I stop, and I turn around, and I kind of go, okay, here's a moment, and I'm in the person's synchronicity where I'll tell you a story. So there's one time I was walking into a restaurant and all of a sudden I walk in and I go, okay, yeah, okay, I know I'm supposed to give this person a message, right? Because they were needing a message, right? And I walked up and I said, okay, do you believe in angels? Do you believe in that kind of thing? And she goes, yes. I said, okay, because here it is. Archangel Michael wants you to know da 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 da. And you have a grandmother who is da 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 da. And she went, oh my God, you don't know how much I needed to hear that today. You really don't know. You really don't know how much I'm going through something really big right now. And you just don't know how much that saved me. I don't know if I saved her life or if it just saved her going through life, that portion of her life, right? Because the fact that when we're in sync with somebody, it is that ability to be at the right place at the right time, even if we're willing to say just, hi, thank you for being you, right? Many times if we just say those words, thank you for being you, you're amazing. You may not feel like it today, but you're amazing. And when we're going forward, sometimes those words right there are the things that can change somebody's life. I've gotten the feeling, my intuitive self, that I have actually saved somebody from committing suicide that night because of the fact that I mentioned to them that they were a good person, and thank you for treating me as well as thank you. I hope people treat you as well as you treated me, right? So with that going forward and where we're going and what we're doing, many times we don't know what seeds, and I get to say that, and I said that before, I know, but what seeds can be beneficial. Going into life, I know that, okay, so Archangel Michael's here, and he's wanting to say that, that no matter where you're going, people, that we angels want you to follow that gut feeling that we give you to go into certain places, because just even your energy, he's saying, can be a benefit to the people around you. So that doesn't he mean he's saying that you have to spend money, but remember going into a place sometimes is what changes the world. So Jason, here you go. It's going to take me a second to read this. Thank you. I believe in downtime. You caught me on a day where I wasn't really doing anything. This is usually not the case. I'm typically in motion. Spirit told me I needed to stop right now. Then you popped up. There you go, listening to spirit. And that's the thing is that, I classify spirit of love, as part of that unity of being. Um it's the air that we breathe, it's the knowings that we go forward with, and it's the ability to be in that moment. And synchronicity, I've had that a couple times where the show popped up and somebody needed to hear about somebody about grief, and we were having that conversation that day. That's why I'm so excited about my shows being on podcasts now, and the only one I haven't gotten on yet is iTunes. um because of the fact that me and the iTunes scenario, or the I series. No wonder I don't have an iPhone. you know, just not in me. So with that going forward, that you can catch us on most every platform. I'm I'm wanting though to inspire anyone and anybody who is listening, watching this show, to know that, be, if you can, I don't want to call it your better self, because of the fact that we can't always be on and we can't always be perfect. But be willing, oh, that's a word, thank you. Be willing to say thank you. Be willing to say, thank you for being who you are, or thank you for doing all that you're doing, or doing those things. Like, here again, I was at another restaurant. I don't eat out a lot, but you would think I do, but I'm taking a big time frame doing this. But this was just the Sunday where this one gentleman was, oh my gosh, he's new to the restaurant, and he was dum 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 dum, and working and being on and following through with what he was doing. He wasn't necessarily in a hurry, but he was trying to support the system, be in sync with the rhythm of the restaurant, right? And he was helping the wait staff out, because they're short wait staff handed, and he was the one that picked up the tables, and he just didn't do that. He actually cleaned the tables and sat people down. He actually helped bring water when the people needed water, right? So he was in sync with the people. And when we get to the point where we can find, and that's the thing that I do a lot of times when I'm in a place, and like I was in a car with my girlfriends, and I asked that, can I be, because I was feeling out of rhythm with even the cars around me. I was doing things in my home and kind of not on the road very much. And so I got out of sync with the people on the road. And I even asked, okay, universe around me, bring me in sync with the people around me so that I can find my rhythm. And what I noticed is that cars didn't pull out in front of me so awkwardly, or that I didn't, people weren't stopping right away in front of me or doing things like that. And so we can ask for those in sync moments to come to us. I do mantras all the time like that. Let me find the in syncness. Look, walking into a classroom, let's say, when I'm doing my para-educating, that I walk in, and before I walk in, I say, okay, let me find this. Let me be in sync with the classroom. Let my energy be attuned to the energies of what's going on in the classroom, so that I can be in that rhythm. And when I do that, I find myself just slipping in along the back wall and just standing there sometimes. And then I notice that there's somebody who is struggling. And so I just walk over and I maybe kneel down for a few minutes, and I say, what's going on? Because the teacher's talking. So I want Be quiet. I see that. I see that you're having a hard time, right? And then maybe I just put my hand on their desk because a lot of kids don't want to be touched. So I put my hand on their desk and just say, "You'll be okay. You'll be okay." And then when the teacher goes into like workshop time or something like that, I walk over to the student and I say, "Okay, so what's going on today?" Just going over there and giving them recognition because the teacher has 30 students. How can she pay attention to everybody? It's usually the quiet ones that are struggling. It's the quiet ones that are struggling. And so that's where I sometimes go in and I find my in syncness with the quiet ones who are needing the support. So with that, as we go forward and as we're negotiating our life and as we're trying to do better in our lives, you can have a prayer towards having in syncness with the people, with the beings, with the joys around us. The rhythm of life isn't always going to be in our rhythm. That's the thing. We always think that it isn't life about me. Isn't life about me? No. If you really realized how many people were in this world, how many angels were helping each other out, that many a times that we are responsible for our own in syncness to happen with moving forward. So that's where when we can go forward with asking from me, my personal being, to be in sync with those around me, then sometimes I'm the only one out of sync because everybody else is finding their rhythm, right? Going forward in life and finding a new rhythm, even with ourselves. We don't always know why. I really follow my instincts. And that's the thing that I was told while I was back in Florida with my father in law's memorial. That I was told that, Mom, we know you're intuitive, but you don't let anybody else know. I go, oh, is that what's triggering your dad right now? Yeah, Mom. Okay. So, in other words, sometimes I found myself in sync with driving because I was the driver because my husband gets a little anxious when we're driving in places he doesn't know. And so with that I found that I would just drive, not telling anybody where we were going. And my son said, "Mom, I'm fine with it. I'm in the back seat, but Dad's not." So the thing about being in sync with things, sometimes we need to let the other people know that's around us, right? So communicate. Well, honey, I know we normally go this way, but I'm really got the feeling that I can go to the next exit. That's all I needed to do. So I would let other people be in sync with that. And what's funny is that, okay, my husband, who doesn't really like communication, asks for communication. So it's up to me to communicate those small things so that we can be in sync. And so I'm going to mention that when we want to be in sync with things around us, it's called communicating. It's about communicating the small things. Hey, I'm going to the grocery store. Want to go with me? Yes or no? Doesn't really matter, right? So, in being in sync, that's why I want to talk about the bigger picture of being in sync with things. Because of the fact that many of us think that synchronicity is picking up your phone at the same time somebody calls, right? Not necessarily. That is synchronicity. But in the bigger picture of life, that's really not the that phone call now that you have with that person. Maybe it's the phone call that you have with your mother-in-law or with your sister or brother, that actually when you were in sync to catch that call, that phone call is the bigger picture of what's going to make a difference in both your lives for that day. And going forward during those moments, then we can find we're in sync with the people that we're communicating with. Yeah, you know, Regan really finds that, and oh, his mate, Patty, when we were on the show about manifestation, didn't she talk about how when she was in sync with life, that life became in sync with her? So manifesting is that part of us that brings us in sync. And Jason, thank you for chiming in here. Asking to be in sync. This is new to me. I'm really good at adapting and dropping into the flow. Not sure if that's the same thing. Gonna try this. Funny, Michael claimed in. Yeah, climbed in. Yes. So with that, going in with the flow, you can be in sync. Yes. But the fact is that I know for me, a lot of times my rhythm is not always, like I said, driving down the road the other day. I was not in sync. And then I got in the car with a friend. We were going for a walk and she was not in sync. And so I asked for our car to be in sync with the people around us. And what was funny was how they stopped pulling in front of us as much and cutting us off or slamming on their brakes. We had a little bit different rhythm. I also want to say that, this just popped in. Thank you. I love it when my team pops in. That there was a time when I was really worried about working with a coworker. I knew this person had worked in the same school as me, but we really didn't, we were like two ships that passed in the night. We didn't really have that much together. And yet she was going to start working in the same classroom as me. And I was like, well, kind of worried about it, because of the fact that I felt out of sync with a lot of people around me. This is about the same time that my intuitiveness was really starting to grow, and I was starting to not be able to hide it. So what I was doing was that I was finding the reason why I was not in sync with people around me. So what I did was I really asked, okay, so this person coming in, I'm asking that her energy and my energy, that we become cohesive, co-working together, uh, conveniently blessed to be together. And when I asked our energies to attune to each other, attune means that tuning fork. Ding! I wish I could find my tuning fork. If anybody out there can know where my tuning fork is, I think the fairies took it because they wanted to play with my tuning fork, and I cannot find my tuning fork that I bought about a month ago. It's somewhere around in a dimension, I think, but I have not been able to find it, and I really would like to use it. So with that, when we go into that, I attune to the energies of the now, right? That when we go in and attune, and I attune to the energies of this person that I was going to work with, you know what we ended up doing? During the time that we worked in that classroom, and we're still really good friends. We're still, uh, we're still close enough that we can really interact together, even though we're not on a day-to-day basis with each other. That when I really realized that it was part of me that was holding back being in sync with other people. And she was adapting to a new situation. So once she walked in the door, I went, "Hi, how are you?" Because that I asked for us to attune. And then as we became workable together, we learned each other. There was a vulnerability that happened with us. Now, I'm going to tell you, That didn't that we had another teacher who came in, and this person was hard to be in sync with. She was a narcissist and very much about herself. Yeah, it's hard to be in sync with people like that, right? So, but what I did was I asked for my energy to be able to be cohesive with hers so that I knew what to say at the right time. So I knew how to be interactive, not reactive, because the fact that nobody else wanted to work with her. So I ended up working with her. And so then I also asked that my intuitiveness would be in sync enough that if we were to have a conversation, that I would be guided through communicating with her without her knowing anything about my intuitiveness. Because I did not want to open that door with her. Not, was not going to be that open with the narcissist that way. So with that you can even ask to be in tuned with someone who you don't want to be involved with, because of the fact that we still have to be, working with somebody who we don't want to work with, right? But we want to be able to work in the same building with them. We want to be able to work with them. So being in sync with them, many times it doesn't mean that we have to be, I want to say, friends with them or totally in unison, but we can be less reactive. We can be less um, aggravated by them by asking our energies to attune, to be in tuned with them. So being in sync doesn't always mean the exact minute of right timing. It is part of it. Being in the flow, yes. As Jason, you said that you adapt and you're dropping in. Yes, and that is pretty much what synchronicity is dropping in and adapting. I do the same thing. The thing is, though, is that I have learned that to be able to manifest and to be able to be proactive in my life, sometimes I had to be the wheel that started. I had to be the wheel that was the instigator to be in sync with. Because of the fact that when I want to manifest, and actually this is conversation that I needed to hear. Thank you, universe, bringing this out of my mouth. I love how the in syncness, teacher be student, right? That to be manifesting, sometimes we are the wheel that needs to find the in syncness to being with others. I'm going to say that again because that's huge. We need to be the wheel that gets in sync with others to find the manifestation, to find the rhythm of where we're going. That's big. And I knew this conversation when I was told to have this conversation by my guides, that there was going to be some bigness here because the world is big. And as I'm saying this, I'm seeing the rhythm of us in this world, down on the 3D world, the floor of the world. And then I'm seeing the rhythm of like the second story up a little bit farther. And then the third story of the building. And so if we want to talk about how things are manifesting at this level, to bring them down into this level, the floor level, right? That we need to be able to find that in syncness. So if we start turning, then maybe we can get the universe to turn with us and find that in syncness. Kind of like when I had Patty on, and that was an amazing show. I'm going to watch it again because that's maybe what I need to get motivated again. Is that as soon as I was done with that show, I got the message I was going to go to California, and then the week later I bought plane tickets and da 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 da. And so with that with rising my energy up, turning on music. That's my key for me, is turning on music. That's what brings me into rhythm and gives me energy. Answering my own questions here. So with that, eating better and turning on music helps me vibrate at a higher level, right? So blessing ourselves with being in sync. Now, how do we find we're in sync with our bodies? Ah, hmm. Didn't think I was going to talk about that, right? How do we find that we're in sync with our bodies? I know a lot of us are struggling with eating at the right times, eating at the right time for our body, or eating the right food with our bodies. Because sometimes our taste buds are hungry for a hamburger, but our body is asking for fish, right? So who are we going to be in sync with? Our taste buds or our our digestive system? That's where I muscle test a lot of times because there's sometimes where I don't know what my body wants to eat, right? So for me to be in synchronicity with my body, I muscle test. Now, does anybody know how to muscle test? I know some do, some don't. What I do is I put my pointer finger and my thumb together, and then on the other hand, I put my pointed finger and my thumb together. And then I put one finger, like the duck bill, into the other part of my finger, right? So they're kind of like if you were going to link them as chains, you can also do that. So you can link your fingers as chains and try to pull them apart. What is your yes? What is my no? I struggle with that one a little bit. So I like to put um, like if I'm going to go quack, quack, quack with my fingers, I put one inside the link and the other, and I try to pull my fingers apart. So I'm opening up one set of fingers to open up the other. So I always ask, what is my yes and what is my no? So I'm trying to open up one set of fingers, spread my finger and my thumb apart inside the link of my other hand and holding that close. So I asked the question, since I don't know what I want for dinner tonight, body, do you want hamburger for dinner? What is my yes? What is my no? Body, do you want fish? No, I had fish last night. Body, do you want a hamburger tonight for dinner? Hmm. Do you want hamburgers for dinner? Oh, I guess I know what I'm going to have for dinner now. Hamburgers. So going forward, see how I was in sync with my body. Now, many of us with vitamins, we can take zillions of vitamins, right? But should we take them all at the same time? The first thing that I'm hearing in my body's head, in my digestive system is hell no, right? So that when we're going forward and managing our life, that I even muscle test when do I what vitamin do I want? Now, for me, when I'm standing up, I have what is my yes, and I'll lean forward. What is my no, and I'll lean back. And so my body knows how to muscle test just even standing up. So when I'm picking up a jar of vitamins, if I'm going backwards, that means my body doesn't want it, right? And if I'm picking it up and I kind of lean forward a little bit, I know my body wants it. So that I'm in sync with my body's timing. And when we can do that, our digestive system adapts to it better. Our digestive system adapts to that vitamin intake better because we're in rhythm of it. We're in rhythm of it. And if we can do that, body, do you want vitamin B at dinner time? No. Body, do you want vitamin D at dinner time? Body, do you want vitamin E at dinner time? Yes. So with that going forward, I know when the better time is for my body. So we're finding in syncness, right? We're finding in syncness. And if we can find that in syncness, then we're able to negotiate what's around us better. Because I know that for me, it's like, how many people are their liver and gallbladder and their adrenals and their stomach kind of in knots right now? Because we go with what our taste buds want. And our taste buds don't always know what our digestive system wants. Because I know our taste buds a lot of times wants the sugars, wants the quick foods, wants the crunchies, right? Wants the salt, wants this and wants that. But yet, at the same time, though, is that what our betterness is for? Is that what our betterness is? Now, sometimes our mind, like yesterday, um, my husband went golfing and then I came back, or he came back, and I was like, I'm not really hungry when I first got up. But by the time he was coming home, I was getting hungry. And he goes, "Should we go to the bakery?" I said, "Yeah." Because guess what? I was really hungry for country fried steak, and they make homemade bread with homemade jelly. And I used to get potatoes, but potatoes give me migraines now, so I try not to eat potatoes. I think it's not because it's what I muscle tested. It's not necessarily, is it potatoes that give me migraines? See, it was almost a half. Is it the pesticides? Yes. So it's the pesticides that are on potatoes, because I notice that sometimes in chicken and in other vegetables that are grown, if I don't get the organics necessarily, that because organics aren't organic, but yet they have less, and I need less. And so with that I'm finding that some of those scenarios, like the root vegetables, the ground is so saturated that they're getting more and more problems. So, Jason, you had another saying. Kirk von Gott calls the soul group like this, a caress. You won't necessarily like the members of the group you are in, for there are to be synchronicities. Okay, I'm going to reread that because my dyslexia, it's kind of triggered right now. Kurt Von Gut calls soul groups like this a caress. You won't necessarily like the members of the group you're in, for there to be synchronicities. Yes, exactly. And, you know, you were saying that when I was talking about groups, right? That going forward, we don't always have to like who we're with. We don't always have to like what we're eating. We don't always have to like what's around us to be in synchronicity, but we can be in sync so that it's not so harsh on our energy. We're not so harsh in what we're going. Because I can tell you that there was one time that I was walking into a building and I was so in sync with my energy that my energy told me, do not go in there. Do not go in there. And I turned around and I walked out, right? Because I was in sync with the right timing to not do something. Or like the other day when I was dancing at this place, a friend and I walked out, and it was like as soon as I walked through this energy, I went, "Holy crap, what was that?" I almost got sick. It was like totally icky energy. And she was buzzed, and she says, "I'm not even buzzed anymore." Right? Well, as soon as I walked through it, after I went to the bathroom, coming back, I went, "I know what you are. I know what you are." Wasn't good at all. So I was thinking, okay, knowing I was in a casino, how many energies are in casino once you open that door? Yeah, nah, not my monkey, right? Not my monkey, not my energy to do work with. But this one, actually, I was wearing this stone right here, and it was the pendulum, and it said basically, yeah, it was my monkey to take care of that energy. So what I ended up doing was I ended up working with it. But the synchronicity was that this friend who walked through there, she was like, "Can I go? Can I help?" And so her synchronicity helped. Her synchronicity helped work with this not so good energy, and it took calling in quite a bit of a team to get this energy bound and put in the right place. So with that we're our energies of being synced and doing our work, many times it takes us being vulnerable enough to be able to go through the process of doing it. And we're not always going to like the people around. We're not always going to like the food we eat. But being in sync means that we can learn what we're supposed to learn from that, right? Because I can tell you, like Jason was saying, you won't necessarily like the members of the groups you're in, for there are to be synchronicities, right? that many times that we are to learn that lesson. Like for me, triggering my husband on our trip about communication was the synchronicity that the universe put me into to be able to learn that small lesson of when I'm with other people, let them know what my intuition is saying. Because of the fact that no matter where we're at, there's always something to learn. And that's our synchronicity too. Those lessons in life are part of our synchronicity. So be willing to walk forward with that. Be willing to negotiate those worlds. Because no matter where you're at, many times those synchronicities, like I was saying, those conversations we have with someone can be the seed that brings us blessings for the rest of our life. Just never know, right? You just never know. You never know. So with this, blessings to you. I'm going to spend the last 15 minutes. Usually when Regan's here, I don't get a chance to do this. I'm going to pull some cards. I use which ones do I want to use? Oh, I don't want to read that much today, guys. Sorry. The Path of the Soul. I'm going to do the Path of the Soul. I use oracle cards to support people's life and doing this. I believe that guides are here. So with that, this is a Path of the Soul, and I will do 2 cards. So if anybody wants a card, please mention. I can do a Path of the Soul. I'm going to actually bring out another one. The dragons. Dragons want to be busy lately, so the dragons are here too to help us. So I'm going to do one for the universal conversation. Yes, yes. Okay, Jason. So do you want dragon or do you want the Path of Soul? You got to take a drink while you write it in. Dragon. Okay, dragon. So the dragons. I love the dragons. Okay, so Jason, put out your intention. What would you like to hear? Oh, yes, please. And the path. So you want one of each. Okay, I can do that. I have enough time. Yes, I got about 10 minutes, so I have enough time. So the dragons. I'm going to pull one card for you, and then I'm going to pull the dragons wants to talk to the universe, to whoever's listening. Okay, so the dragons for Jason. Dragons for Jason. Dragons for Jason. And this one right here on my finger is the one that's calling to me. Ooh, Serene. Isn't she beautiful? Let the focus get in there. Serene. I think I've had, oops. Touch the thing. Okay, so Serene. So I've gotten her. So 22. 22. Serene. I am the lapping of the waves and the morning sun. I am the lapping of the waves and the morning sun. Gently flowing water and warm summer breeze depict the dragon's energy beautifully. Serene connects to the calm and the resilient energy of Mother Mary. So you can you can rest assured that life is going to settle down, especially if it has been rather turbulent lately. Oops, flip the page a little bit too much. There we go. She says, I am the lapping of the waves and the morning sun. Allow me to wrap you in my blue cloak of tranquility and accept my presence. As pure calm settles around you, when your inner perceptions shift, so will your outer world experiences. Isn't that cool? When your inner perceptions shift, so will your outer world perception or experiences. Remember that the tranquility you seek lies within. The volatile outside scenario is only a mirror of turbulence inside. Call upon me to guide you to that peace of heaven you crave. Observe your life experiences changing as they begin to mirror your inner feelings of serenity. She encourages us to go gently with ourselves. We are quick to nature or to nurture. We are quick to nurture others, but often neglect our own needs. We must feed ourselves with that which brings us joy and makes us feel alive. As we accept that we are important, our worldly experiences will reshape and shift in a positive way. Isn't that a blessing? Serene. Wrap in her blue cloak. Isn't that Mother Mary all the way? That is Mother Mary. Okay, so, and then the path of the soul, right? You said? So Jason, you want a path of the soul. These are really cool. So put in your intentions. I feel it. You're so powerful. Jason, more powerful than you can ever imagine. Your manifestations. What are you truly manifesting, my dear? Okay, what are we doing here? Woo! Well, I cannot do all these. I'm sorry. Jason, I will put them off to the side, and if you want to call me later, I'll let you know what they were. I'm hearing top card for you though right now. Okay. So this one here, and it's upside down, but yet these cards don't really do upside down or not. Isn't that beautiful? I love these cards. So 2911. Number 29, which is 11. And you had a 22 on the dragon deck. Wow. 22 on the dragon deck and 29, which equals 11 on the path of the soul. 29. Friendship. There is a great amount of love and support available to you. Friendship represented by the infinity symbol is forever. Trust the bonds you have created with others. Know that the greatest gift you can give is your friendship. It is in giving that you receive the most. Offer your support where you can, and remember to ask for support when you need it. Your friends are the very souls you have chosen to journey with in this lifetime. They are an important part of your growth and learning. And Jason, if you remember how we met in the synchronicity of me walking by your table in an intuitive fair, and I walked by, stopped, stepped back, and you were in the middle of a conversation with somebody else, and you stopped that conversation because you and I finally synced up together. The universe just finally put us together because we're supposed to dance in and out of each other's life once in a while to give each other support. So, okay, so friendship. But the part of that is remembering that it's about receiving too in a friendship. You remembered? Yeah, it was kind of hard to forget, not to forget that part. Okay, so whoa, these are the other cards that you got too that fell out of the deck at the same time. So these are the infinity signs, as above, as below. Wow, look at this one. Isn't that one cool? And then this one here. Ooh, the alien, the star beings are helping you. And then this one, wow. And that one, whirl. So those are cards. Okay, so I'm going to pull, since it's that time, I'm going to pull a universal dragon card for everyone so that we can have a universal dragon card. Okay, so this is for everybody. Thank you, Jason, for showing up today. Thank you, Veronica, if you're still here. Thank you for anybody and everybody else who will be watching at this time. I'm Natasha Venter, by the way. I do I do any kind of readings. I am a psychic medium who supports. I do house clearings. I do feng shui. What do I not do? In the sense of intuitive work, I am one who sends love. I love to help heal. I love to help people go through grief with the knowing that it's not a personal. It's not a personal. It's not personal. It's for helping. It's for helping. So, I guess we needed 2 dragon cards. So there's crystal and spirit. Ooh. So 10, and this is 14, I think. And then 5, 6, 7, 8. Infinity. Okay, so I will do crystal first. So that would be 10, that would be 14. Nope, that's not. Nope, because that. Oh. Let me find the right number here. Sorry about this, guys. X1, X1X. That's, oh, 19. 20, yeah, 19. X1X. There we go. It took me a minute. I like it when they tell me. Okay, so Crystal, let me guide you in flowing with the rhythm of your life. You can't make this up, can you? Oh, this beautiful and peaceful dragon's main role is as galactic dragon is to support all indigo and crystal children who have special and unusual abilities and traits, adults, and those on the autistic spectrum. She is, in fact, named after the crystal children. She fully understands the complexities that can accompany these children and adults. So is here to support them and their families as much as possible. She urges us to explore their richness of talent in whatever area works for them. For example, this could be numbers, sports, arts, music, or poetry, or anything that allows the mind to unleash its creativity flow. She understands that the classroom, with its restraints and rules of quiet and constriction, often does not work for these naturally inquisitive artistic souls. If Crystal has swooped into your cards today, she encourages you to add color, vibrance, and shapes to your life in any way you are drawn to. She asks, have you become too rigid in your thinking, explorations, or outlook on life? Let me guide you in flowing with the rhythm of your life and loosen any feelings of tension in your body. Allow your mind to daydream. Let it explore new possibilities. Find creative pursuits and free your soul. Our lives rarely flow along the straight route. They are always full of twists and turns. She goes on to say, learn to follow your ebb and flow of the tide of your existence here on earth. Struggle and resistance do not serve you. They simply frustrate and they frustrate you. She asks us why we do a job we hate or stay in the part with a partner we cannot communicate with if it makes us unhappy. Be true to yourself. Be authentic in your life. Allow yourself to let go of all that does not bring warmth into your very being. Crystal encourages us to follow our dreams, live our joy, and be open to new possibilities. Boy, she's great. Okay, so that was Crystal. Beautiful, beautiful dragon. Great messages. These are new cards to me, so I'm reading a lot because I don't know them yet. I haven't spent time with them yet. And then Spirit. So number 8, infinity sign. Number 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Spirit. Spirit. Are you truly awesome? You are truly awesome and your own creator. Spirit appears to us when we are gearing up for another steep learning curve on our spiritual path. He connects most strongly with those who have begun to work on themselves and are well and truly underway in their spiritual journey. He frequently precedes those whose job is to work for the planet and humankind. The dragon spirit connects with those in particular who have embarked upon the transitional journey of deep self-healing and self-understanding, and those beginning to recognize the bigger picture within the circle of life. He reminds us that everything is interconnected. There is no separation. He says, there is no you and I as separate beings. We are all one energy. If he has swooped into your readings today, he says, call upon my energy to support you in the prepared as you prepare for the next steps of your amazing journey. You will go through a myriad of shifts and changes, self-doubt and euphoria as you embrace in the next deep learning process. I am here to guide you through those shifts and changes. You are a spiritual being in a physical form. You have a potential to live a soulful spiritual existence on earth. You are truly awesome and your own creator. So embrace what is to come on the next leg of your journey. If you are feeling spiritually disconnected, lost, simply overwhelmed, call upon Spirit to guide you your way. Your job here is to watch and listen as you're feeling sudden flashes of inspiration and, as always, signs of symbols from your dragon's clan. Although these are sent by the dragons, they can be subliminal, quiet. So be aware to look out for them. Meditate with Spirit and ask for this guidance to inspire and enlighten you. Wow. Isn't Spirit? Wow. I just love Spirit. And you know what Spirit has done for me? I have Hawk as my totem, right? Basically, I Hawk is my other part of me. Well, last year when I went through some big change, Hawk ended up being in my neighborhood and was raising its young, helping its young fly when I came home, right? Every morning, the hawk came back and is summering in the nest in a field behind us here. Every morning, I wake up to the screech of hawk hunting, the flying, right? How can I not be using that as the universe's word of inspiration for me to guide me to say, it's time for you to awaken, my dear. See the bigger picture because hawk represents bigger picture. Get the bigger vision of where you're going. Be ready to be spontaneous in being prepared so that when opportunity comes, when a hawk hunts, to reach down and grab what you need to do. My home to yours. Be ready to be inspired, to be able to walk forward. I'm Natasha Venter at angelicclarifications.com. Please call me if you would like to have help in your life. And I am here Mondays at 4 o'clock, usually with Regan. Regan Forsten isn't here today. Actually, I'm going to be on a trip this next Monday, so you'll see me in a different home. And I will be with Regan next Monday. And on Wednesdays, I am Life Clarifications with Natasha. That's what you can call when you look for my podcast is Life Clarifications. Thank you all for life and being here with me. And I'm grateful. And I will be talking to you soon. Blessings to all. And remember, like the dragon says, you're awesome.